Well, it's maybe the most important thing, because if you can't read, you really can't learn any other subject, including math, science, robotics, athletics.
Reading increases everything. So reading is needed in every subject area. I was a math teacher and a science teacher, and if my students could not read, for instance, the math problems, then they had a problem understanding how they were supposed to solve them. So I believe that reading can impact every single subject area and increase us academically.
Well, when I meet with teachers, and I observe fairly regularly, I'm in and out of classrooms a lot. What we've done, especially before the beginning of the year, is incorporate a lot of reading even in subjects like math and science and social studies, and trying to cross-curricular use reading on a near constant basis in every class to help bring everyone's understanding of the value of reading up.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's a love for reading, but it's probably more so of a necessity. But reading is where you get all your information and kind of keep you updated on the different things. So it's definitely something that you do have to learn to discipline yourself so that you can get the reading in, because that's where a lot of those updates. And if you're not reading a lot of that information, then you're going to be out of the loop for sure.
Well, of course, in math, that the students have to be able to read the word problems in order to know how to do them. So we concentrate on vocabulary mostly in math. What words mean: add, subtract, multiply, divide, stuff like that.
I like to read because it really helps me how to read things and how to read faster and other things.
Reading is one of the most, to me, it's the better way to learn educational stuff, to know what's going on in the world, to understand history. So if you read about it, you can learn and get more knowledge and educational reasons.
So I, as an ELA reading teacher, say it is the basis of which every other subject is built on.
I've seen in one of the science classrooms where they have posters up at the front of the room that has the root words, prefixes, and suffixes that are common in science, so that when they see those in another classroom, maybe their reading class or on a test or whatever, then they will have an idea of what those mean. And of course, the social studies teachers, their curriculum is reading to know the facts. So
my kids like the Percy Jacksons, and even though some teachers would say, well, that's not really sixth grade reading level, I like to keep a set in here for them to read for leisure and enjoyment, because they're really into mythology. And if we're gonna get people to read, we need to find things that they like to read. Knowledge. I like to know things. I also like to be entertained.
One of the things I like about reading is the knowledge that you attain from reading.
I love reading because it takes you to different places that you'll never get to experience in real life.
So this year, I'm proud to say that I am on my fourth book that I have read this year. Different things, motivational speakers, and even some religious books. It's been a positive impact on me, and also has increased my love for reading.
Gives me a place to escape to when I'm stressed or angry. Something I enjoy to do.
It helps me have something to do when I'm bored.
Oh wow, that's easy. The joy of watching children find stuff in the reading that they didn't have before. So for fictional texts, it's like eating an apple,
Because reading is fun. It's hard to explain. I just like reading.
Sometimes it's nice just to be able to read the words and literally build the pictures in your mind and go on a journey.
I imagine myself in the book I'm reading.
You start out with the introduction to the story, and then you find the juicy stuff that gets you to the middle and the solution. So it's fun watching them find new stuff and learn new things, and the funny of something, or the sad, or the happy.
Alice in Wonderland Through the Looking Glass. It's kind of a difficult read because of the esoteric language, but I've always just been fascinated with the creativity that Lewis Carroll had to go into a whole nother world and make it so in depth. And besides that, it has lots of good little one-liners that you can pull out and use in class.
I believe that my favorite book right now would be a book by Ryan Leake, and it's named Unoffendable. And it is a book that I feel like a lot of our students need to read, as well as some of our adults on campus. I think that it would help with the culture and help us to get to where we need to get to.
My favorite book is James and the Giant Peach. For some reason, when people ask me this question, I just go back to that book. I think it's probably one of the first books that I can recall reading. And I've read it multiple times, and so that just kind of just fits the bill for my favorite book.
My favorite book, I like to read manga because I'm more like into anime more than any book, basically. And I just like it because of the characters.
I don't know that I have one. I would have to say the Harry Potter series. Of course, the first one, is the first one you read, and that got me hooked. I had never seen the movies until after I read the first book. And then once I read that first book, I was hooked on all of them. And then, of course, I got hooked on the movies. In fact, on my honeymoon at midnight, when the fourth book came out, we had to go find that book at midnight when I was on my honeymoon.
My favorite book would be I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, because it tells us in depth about the life of Maya Angelou and all the things that she sacrificed for.
Probably the Percy Jackson series. The first book in the Percy Jackson series. Because, I mean, it's good. It's engulfing.
I don't really have a favorite book. I read too many to pick a favorite.
How many? That's the hardest part about this job, actually. To inspire them, I try to find things that they're interested in, like football or flowers or comedy or horror books.
Well, we try to come up with interesting articles for our Hog Time. I try to find stuff that's interesting to students across all genres.
Also, just demonstrating reading, that I enjoy sitting down and reading a book with them, or I'll find something funny or talking about it as we're reading it, and you tell me something good you got out of it. And it seems to build as we go. I read with my kids. I bring stuff in that I read and stuff I don't like to read. So.
On Wednesday, we do have the social aspect when we do our vocabulary. Everything we do, we try to include the closed captioning so the kids can see the words as well as hear the words.
There's been a few kids that we've tried to read along with them with books, just to try to encourage them and just to try to have some conversations in the hallways about the book and those type of things. I know we got the book fair that's going on, the drop and read, where we're dropping some different things and just trying to make sure that we do a lot of focus on reading, because at the end of the day, the reading is going to be the backbone of all of the educational pieces. If you can't read, then it's going to be very, very difficult to be successful in education.
Well, the librarians here are two fantastic ladies that dive on all of the reading intervention we can. So the library will be themed. The book fair is coming to the library to promote it.
We are reading different passages continuously. Every day we are reading a different passage.
The English teachers or ELA teachers and reading teachers are working on some stuff to do in their classrooms for the month.
Read Across America this month, everybody is going to read and talk about their books and try to write a synopsis about a little quote.
Currently, we are making sure that, for instance, in our ELA classes and in our reading classes that are on the 6th grade hall, that we have all of our students that are attaining AR points and reading books that are needed.
And in addition, through our facilitators, we are using the RTI blocks to promote reading across America for the entire duration of the time that it's going on. Sure, I have. A lot, actually. For years, I taught special education, and My first year as a special education teacher, I had two young men that were in kindergarten reading levels, and I was given a system to teach them that I honestly didn't think was going to work.
That when they find that text or that book or that something, it's never what you thought it was going to be.
When those two kids passed and made themselves into 4th grade readers in 6 months as a result of the system, I had a big aha moment when those test results came back and those kids had gone up 4 grade levels in 3 months just from having practiced using a prescribed phonics system.
You have to let the child find it themselves. And that's the aha. Because I can think of several things I think they might be interested in, but then the aha is, oh, wow, that was what interested you? So.
Reading now, this book that I'm actually reading is helping me understand how nurse practitioners, midwives, nurse anesthesiologists, and everything even came about. So it helps with practice. It kind of explains what nurses can and cannot do legally. So I'll know to stay within my nursing scope.
A week? That depends on how big the book is. If it's about the size of this, I can read about 3, maybe 4 a week. Anything smaller, more. Anything bigger, maybe 2.